All right, now very quickly to our recipe, and I say very quickly, honestly guys, because this is such an easy recipe. First of all, we're gonna do a corned beef and cabbage kind of spin on the whole St. Patrick's Day typical meal. We're not using corned beef, okay? Two things with that. First of all, corned beef is made from brisket. It's a very fatty meat, and that's not something you want on the program. And the second thing is that corned beef is actually brined. And that is the whole reason why you can't have pickles, because pickles are brined. So on our program, you can't have anything brined. And so that is the other reason why corned beef is not a choice for us to eat. But what we're going to do is just take a regular round roast, that's what this is. And I chopped it up into four 3.5 sections. I sliced off the fatty part on the bottom of it. So, you want to trim the fat. This is all going to go directly into a crock pot. It's going to simmer on low for 5 to 6 hours. And then, you could just throw this together before you go to work, turn it on, leave it on low. When you come home, your meal is done. Okay, so that's basically what this is going to be. And I'll talk about all the spices that I'm using and what to do. All right, so very simple. You're going to have your crock pot ready. Now, I just use these strings to do my little 3.5 ounce bundles, okay? Because as I was cutting it, of course, I'm not cutting it perfectly. Now, this most likely will not stay together because the meat will shrink and it'll probably fall out of the strings. But you'll have an idea of what chunks of meat to put together when you pull them out, so just so you know that. The other thing I want to talk about is the onions. So I have 14 ounces of meat on this plate. There's 4 3.5 ounce servings. I do not have 14 ounces of onion on the plate because 14 ounces of onion in this recipe would have ruined the recipe. So what I do have is 7 ounces. So I actually have a half a vegetable serving, right? So you'll take one of these, that's a half a vegetable serving. And then you can have another half a vegetable serving. But you're gonna also have the cabbage, so that would count as well. Although cabbage is free. So if you want to have another half a vegetable serving, you're more than welcome to do so. And it could be a small salad if you wanted, okay? All right, so first thing you want to do is you just want to put a little salt and pepper on your meat. And I don't have a little thing on my pepper, so I'm going to be very careful with that. All right, so just a little salt and pepper on your meat, and that's about it. I am going to put on a glove because I don't want to touch the raw meat. So there we go, right into the crock pot. Okay, very simple. Let me move that up for Miss Michaela.
Thanks.
All right, next, tossing in the onion. Seriously, look how simple this is.
So easy.
Next, tossing in the cabbage.
Wow.
Wow, we're really going simple. Okay, ready? All right, so the first thing, this is a half a tablespoon of dry mustard, right in. Okay, then we have our pickling spice. This is something you will find in the spice aisle. It might be a little scarce nowadays because everybody's doing this type of a recipe, but pickling spice is exactly what they put in corned beef and cabbage. When you get the corned beef, all those little round bally spices in there and everything else, that's what pickling spice is. So I'm putting that right in. The next thing is our dried thyme. Let's see, 1 teaspoon of thyme right in there. And the next thing is our apple cider vinegar, and I'm going to do 3/4 of a cup of apple cider vinegar right in there. All right, now the last 2 items are the salt. I did some smoked sea salt, and I did a teaspoon of that. Now that's the only salt I'm going to add in for now because I did a little bit of salt on the meat, right? And there's our smoked sea salt from Stacy Hawkins. And this stuff is really, really strong. So you do not need a lot to get that nice smoked flavor. Now, later on, after this is done cooking, I'll taste it, and if I feel like it might need a little bit of salt, then I'm gonna add another teaspoon, and that's it. And I'll make sure that if I want any extra salt for that, I'll just do it personally myself, right? So we don't, if somebody else is eating it with us, then we want to make sure that we're not over salting it.
There's also salt in this beef broth too, like sodium.
Yes,
so
yes. Now it depends on what you're using, though. I don't ever buy low sodium beef stock, so this probably has enough as well. So you probably, this particular recipe that I'm doing right now will probably not need any more salt. But there it is. Now what you want to do is just you're going to start pouring this 32 ounces right in there. And really what you want to make sure is almost everything's going to be covered. You're not going to be able to cover everything. You know, the cabbage is sitting just too high in there anyway. Okay? But it's not going to matter because that's the end of it. We're going to put our lid on it and we're going to turn that on and we're going to cook that for, like I said, 5 to 6 hours on low.
Low and slow, baby.
Low and slow, and that's it. Okay? So that is our entire recipe. So easy. You'll have 4 meals in one. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this cook. We're going to pull this out later on. We're going to make up a plate so we can get a nice photo to show everybody the final, you know, what it looks like. If you like cabbage, you're going to love this recipe. And then, of course, you're going to have your little side of onion soup. And also, too, if you like sauerkraut, put that on the plate, too. But that's an awful lot of cabbage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's it. That's the whole recipe. Very, very simple.